Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. 16 Nobel Prize winning economists warn that Trump's economic plans could reignite inflation. Someone should ask CBS how President Trump could reignite a flame that was never put out. The Federal Reserve desperately wanted to cut interest rates this year, even multiple times, to help Biden before November, but even they realized that Biden did not defeat inflation, as the slogan goes, and so they've been unable to. But anyway, CBS wants you to fear Trump's proven track record on the economy while dismissing the dismal results we've experienced firsthand under Biden. I mean, the headline is pretty scary stuff, right? 16 Nobel Prize winning economists, and they're all saying orange man bad. Shouldn't we listen to such dire warnings from the experts? Well, if COVID taught us anything, then the answer to that is a giant fat no. Because get a load of this from the article. It reads, quote, "Deporting immigrants could shrink the labor force, creating more competition for U.S. workers and pushing up wages, also adding to inflationary pressure," economists warn, end quote. So their real fear is not that Trump's economy will hurt American workers, but that it will help them too much. They will actually get to enjoy rising wages for once. Oh no. All those years of carefully laid globalist plans to rob the middle and working class will be undone. And that's their real fear. While everyone has focused on the southern border allowing illegal immigrants to pour across, putting a massive strain on housing and welfare, legal immigration has been just as exploited to deny upward mobility to Americans and to rob them of the American dream their parents had just a generation ago. We keep being told we need ever more visas to bring foreign workers over to fill empty job spots, and yet Americans are struggling to get hired anywhere. Even getting a job as a Starbucks barista can now involve multiple rounds of interviews and not much luck that'll ever amount to being hired. So really, there aren't as many jobs open as we think there are, and we have way too many people competing for few jobs. But then on top of that, we keep shrinking the number of jobs available by then sending them overseas. Just look at John Deere, one of America's oldest companies, which was founded a quarter century before the Civil War, and how they just laid off over 600 workers at their plants in Illinois and Iowa, as they are working on moving more of their manufacturing down to Mexico by the year 2026. How will this further hurt small-town America, supply chains, and our tax base? Well, it's not like John Deere cares to find out the answer. It's all about the bottom line these days, as bosses no longer live in the communities in which they work. They're now university grads in metropolitan hubs far, far away, looking at employees like replaceable numbers on a spreadsheet. It's depressing. Our families, churches, communities, and livelihoods are all being ripped away. Many people now try and cope by turning to drugs, leading to a spike in deaths of despair and leading to life expectancy to drop here in the U.S., as if we're Soviets living through the collapse of their empire, which saw a massive spike in alcoholism, abortion, and lower life expectancy. Sounds familiar? The Federalist is reporting today that 1 in 5 auto deaths now involve marijuana use. When your young people are getting high or drunk all the time and they're not having kids or getting married, that is a sign of a dying culture. Where's the hope and optimism for the future? Perhaps that's why there's been a renewed interest in young people, both at home and abroad, like in Europe, of true conservative policies, not the Bill Buckley, neocon, libertarian tribe of the last few decades, but a resurgence in wanting to protect good morals, jobs at home, and to say no to our cultures and peoples being replaced. Joining us now to discuss is Nate Hochman, a senior advisor to America 2100 and a writer for the American Spectator. Nate, thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Great. So right now, all the headlines are going crazy. Marine Le Pen is surging in France. They're saying this is the far right. It's Nazis. They're taking over. How can Europe be falling this way? But why do you think that is? And why the fear-mongering?
Well, look, Marine Le Pen is not the only so-called far-right person to be surging right now. You've seen in practically every single major European country huge gains for nationalist anti-immigration parties. And to your point, the fascinating thing about the parties over there is that their political base is mostly young people. It's the older people who are sort of still stuck in the groove of the center-left, center-right political establishment parties. And it's the young people who are driving these anti-immigration nationalist figures like Marine Le Pen to victory. And the result is you really do have this mass youth-driven uprising amongst Europeans across the continent.